I never thought a random encounter in an online game could completely change my life. My name is Miguel Santos, and 6 months ago I was just another Filipino college student living in Manila, spending my nights playing Eternal Realms and trying to escape the pressure of my engineering studies. I had been grinding through the game's latest expansion when I encountered a player whose skill level was unlike anything I had ever seen. His username was Phoenix Rising, and watching him play was like witnessing artistry in motion. We were both attempting the same impossibly difficult raid, one that required perfect timing and coordination between multiple players. I had been struggling with it for weeks, but Phoenix Rising completed it solo with a precision that made it look effortless. Instead of moving on to collect his rewards, he noticed me watching and sent me a message that would become the first of thousands we would exchange. "Nice attempt back there. Want to try it together? I can show you the trick to the timing." His offer was casual, but there was something about his approach that felt different from the usual competitive atmosphere of online gaming. Most high-level players ignored beginners or were condescending when they offered help. But Phoenix Rising seemed genuinely interested in sharing knowledge rather than showing off his superiority. That first session lasted 4 hours. Not only did he help me complete the raid, but he also taught me advanced techniques I had never encountered, shared strategies for character development that completely changed my gameplay, and somehow made the entire experience feel more like hanging out with a friend than grinding through game content. When we finally logged off, he sent me a friend request along with a message. "You're a quick learner, Miguel. Same time tomorrow." I accepted immediately, though I had no idea that this simple exchange would become the most important relationship of my life. Over the following weeks, our gaming sessions became the highlight of my days. Phoenix Rising, who told me his real name was Alex Chun and that he lived in San Francisco, was not just an exceptional player but also an engaging conversationalist. During loading screens and breaks between raids, we talked about everything: our favorite games, our experiences with college, our families, our dreams for the future. I learned that Alex was a 24-year-old computer science graduate who had turned his gaming skills into a successful streaming career. He had thousands of followers on Twitch and YouTube, making enough money from sponsorships and donations to live independently while pursuing his passion for competitive gaming. His success was impressive, but what struck me more was his humility about his achievements and his genuine curiosity about my life in the Philippines. "Tell me about Manila," he said one evening as we waited for other players to join our raid group. "I've never been to Southeast Asia, but I've always been fascinated by the culture and the gaming scene there." I found myself describing not just the city but my entire life. The tiny apartment I shared with my younger sister while our parents worked overseas, the pressure to succeed in engineering even though my heart wasn't in it, the way gaming had become both an escape and a community for me when everything else felt overwhelming. Alex listened with an attention that was rare in online interactions. He asked thoughtful questions, remembered details from previous conversations, and somehow made me feel like my experiences and perspectives were valuable and interesting. In return, he shared stories about growing up as a second-generation Chinese American, the expectations his family had for his career, and his own struggles with finding authentic connection in the competitive world of streaming and content creation. "Sometimes I feel like I'm performing all the time," he admitted during one late-night conversation. "Even when I'm not streaming, I'm thinking about content, about maintaining my online persona, about giving my audience what they want. It's exhausting to never feel like you can just be yourself." His honesty surprised me. From the outside, his life looked like the perfect combination of passion and success, but I was beginning to understand that public visibility came with its own set of challenges and pressures. As our friendship deepened, I found myself looking forward to our gaming sessions with an anticipation that went beyond the games themselves. Alex had become the person I wanted to share my thoughts with, the one whose opinion mattered most when I was making decisions, the voice I most wanted to hear at the end of difficult days. But I was also becoming aware of feelings that were more complex than friendship. The way my heart raced when I saw him come online, the disappointment I felt when he had to cut our sessions short, the way I found myself thinking about him during classes and wondering what he was doing in San Francisco. All of this suggested emotions that I wasn't sure how to name or navigate. I had never been in a serious relationship with anyone, male or female. Growing up in a conservative Filipino family, discussions about sexuality and relationships were limited and traditional. I knew I had never felt particularly attracted to women, but I had attributed that to being too focused on school and gaming to think about romance. The possibility that I might be gay had occurred to me, but it had always felt abstract, theoretical, divorced from any actual experience or emotion. But what I was feeling for Alex was neither abstract nor theoretical. It was immediate, intense, and increasingly impossible to ignore. The realization crystallized during one of our longest gaming sessions, a marathon weekend raid that lasted nearly 12 hours with breaks. We had been working with the same team for months, and the chemistry between all the players was exceptional. But throughout the session, I found myself paying more attention to Alex's voice in our headsets than to the actual gameplay. He had a way of laughing that was infectious, a tendency to make encouraging comments when other players were struggling, and a strategic mind that could solve complex problems while maintaining awareness of everyone's needs and capabilities. Watching him lead our team through increasingly difficult challenges, I felt a combination of admiration, attraction, and something deeper that I was finally ready to acknowledge as love. The moment of recognition was both exhilarating and terrifying. I was in love with someone I had never met in person, someone who lived on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, someone whose feelings for me were completely unknown. The practical obstacles seemed insurmountable, but the emotional reality was undeniable. That night, after the raid ended and the other players had logged off, Alex and I stayed online to chat privately. The conversation meandered through various topics, but there was an intimacy to it that felt different from our usual exchanges. Maybe it was the exhaustion from the long gaming session, or maybe it was the way we had worked together so seamlessly throughout the day, but something had shifted between us. "Miguel," he said eventually, his voice softer than usual through the headset. "Can I ask you something personal?" My heart started racing, though I tried to keep my voice casual. "Sure, what's up? Do you ever feel like you know someone better through gaming than you know people you see every day in real life?" The question was so close to what I had been thinking that I wondered if he could somehow sense my emotional state through our digital connection. "Yeah," I said carefully. "I think online interactions can be really genuine sometimes. Maybe even more genuine than face-to-face interactions because there are fewer distractions, fewer social expectations to perform." "Exactly," he said, and I could hear the relief in his voice. "I feel like I can be more myself with you than I can with most people in my daily life. You know things about me that my real-life friends don't know. You've seen me frustrated, excited, focused, relaxed, all these different sides of my personality." His words gave me courage to be more honest than I had planned. "I feel the same way. You've become one of the most important people in my life, Alex. I look forward to our time together more than anything else in my day." There was a long pause, and I worried that I had said too much, revealed feelings that would make him uncomfortable or change the dynamic between us. But when he spoke again, his voice was warm and slightly uncertain in a way I had never heard before. "Miguel, I need to tell you something. These past few months, talking with you, playing with you, getting to know you, it's been the best part of my day too. But I think what I'm feeling is more than friendship. I think I'm developing feelings for you that are romantic." The admission hung in the digital space between us, vulnerable and honest, and exactly what I had been hoping to hear but hadn't dared to expect. My relief was so intense that it took me a moment to find my voice. "I'm so glad you said that," I managed finally, "because I've been feeling the same way and I was terrified to bring it up. I've never felt this way about anyone before, and I wasn't sure if what we have through gaming could be real enough to build something on." "It feels real to me," Alex said softly. "More real than a lot of relationships I've had with people I could touch and see every day. But I also know it's complicated. We're on opposite sides of the world, we've never met in person, and there are so many practical obstacles." We talked until sunrise in Manila, working through our feelings and the challenges they presented. Alex told me about his own confusion regarding his sexuality, how he had dated women in college but had never felt the kind of connection he experienced with me. I shared my own uncertainty about my identity and the additional complexity of being from a culture where LGBTQ+ relationships were often stigmatized. But despite the obstacles, we both agreed that what we felt was too important to ignore. We decided to explore the possibility of a real relationship, starting with more intentional communication and working toward the ultimate goal of meeting in person. Over the following weeks, our interactions evolved from friendship to courtship. We began video calling regularly, and seeing Alex's face for the first time was both thrilling and surreal. He was more handsome than I had imagined, with kind eyes and an expressive smile that made his laughter even more appealing than it had been through audio alone. But more importantly, the visual connection confirmed what I had sensed through our gaming interactions: that Alex was someone I could trust, someone whose presence made me feel comfortable and valued and understood. We started sharing more intimate details about our daily lives. Alex showed me his apartment in San Francisco, his streaming setup, the coffee shop where he liked to work when he needed a change of scenery. I gave him virtual tours of Manila, introduced him to my sister via video call, and shared aspects of Filipino culture that he found fascinating and that I had never thought to explain to anyone before. The long-distance relationship presented unique challenges. The 13-hour time difference meant that one of us was always sacrificing sleep or work time to maintain communication. The lack of physical presence made some aspects of romantic connection difficult to navigate. And both of us were acutely aware that we were building something significant based entirely on digital interactions and shared experiences in virtual worlds. But we were also discovering advantages to this kind of relationship. Without the distractions and complications of physical proximity, we were forced to focus on communication, emotional connection, and genuine compatibility. We learned to express feelings and needs clearly, to pay attention to subtle cues in voice and text, to find creative ways to share experiences and create intimacy across the distance. One of our most meaningful shared experiences was playing through Eternal Realms story mode together, taking on the roles of characters who were partners and lovers within the game's narrative. The fictional relationship gave us a framework for exploring our own romantic dynamics, while maintaining the playful, adventurous spirit that had first brought us together. This is probably the nerdiest way anyone has ever conducted a courtship, Alex said one evening as our characters shared a romantic cutscene in the game. But it also feels perfect for us. We fell in love through gaming, so why not explore that love through gaming too? I laughed, but I also felt the truth in his observation. Our relationship was unconventional, but it was authentically ours, built on shared interests and genuine emotional connection rather than social expectations or conventional relationship scripts. 3 months into our romantic relationship, Alex made a proposal that both excited and terrified me. Miguel, I want to meet you in person. I know it's a big step, and I know there are financial and logistical challenges, but I can't imagine continuing to build this relationship without eventually being in the same physical space. The idea of meeting Alex in real life had been a constant undercurrent in my thoughts, but it had always seemed too complicated and expensive to pursue seriously. International travel required resources I didn't have, visa applications that could be denied, and explanations to my family that I wasn't prepared to give. But Alex had been thinking practically about the obstacles. I've been saving money from streaming revenue, he said. I could afford to fly to Manila, or if that feels too intense, maybe we could meet somewhere in between. The important thing is taking this step, proving to ourselves that what we have online can translate to real life. His willingness to invest financially in our relationship was touching, but it also highlighted the economic inequality between us that had been an ongoing source of insecurity for me. Alex's streaming career provided him with flexibility and disposable income that my student life in Manila couldn't match. I worried about being unable to contribute equally to the expenses of maintaining a long-distance relationship. I don't want you to pay for everything, I said. I want this to be something we do together, equally. It's not about equality of financial contribution, Alex replied gently. It's about equality of emotional investment and commitment. You've given just as much to this relationship as I have, just in different ways. Let me use the resources I have to make this meeting possible, and you can contribute in all the other ways you've already been contributing. His perspective was generous and practical, but it took several conversations with my sister and a lot of internal reflection before I could accept his offer without feeling like I was taking advantage of his success. We decided that Alex would visit Manila for 2 weeks, giving us enough time to spend together without the pressure of a brief. intense encounter that might not reflect our actual compatibility. The planning process took months, involving visa applications, itinerary discussions, and increasingly excited anticipation about finally being in the same physical space. But as the visit approached, I found myself dealing with anxiety I hadn't anticipated. What if our online connection didn't translate to real-life chemistry? What if the person Alex was in digital spaces was different from who he was in physical ones? What if I disappointed him or he disappointed me, and our entire relationship collapsed under the weight of unrealistic expectations? Alex was dealing with similar concerns. "I keep worrying that I've built you up in my mind to be this perfect person," he admitted during one of our video calls. "Not because you're not amazing, but because online relationships can create these idealized versions of people that real humans can't live up to." We talked extensively about managing expectations and maintaining perspective. We reminded ourselves that we were already friends who cared about each other, regardless of whether the romantic aspect of our relationship survived the transition to real life. We agreed to approach the visit with curiosity and openness rather than predetermined outcomes. The day Alex arrived in Manila was one of the most nerve-wracking of my life. I waited at Ninoy Aquino International Airport with my heart pounding, scanning the crowds of passengers for someone I would recognize from countless video calls but had never seen in 3 dimensions. When I finally spotted him emerging from customs, wheeling a suitcase and looking around with the slightly overwhelmed expression of someone experiencing culture shock, my first thought was how familiar he looked despite the surreal context. This was definitely the person I had been talking to for months, but seeing him in my world, surrounded by the sights and sounds and smells of Manila, made everything feel simultaneously more real and more dreamlike. Our first hug was awkward and perfect, the culmination of months of digital intimacy finally expressed through physical contact. He was taller than I had expected, and his presence was more substantial, but his smile was exactly the same as it appeared on my computer screen. "You're really here," I said, still somewhat disbelieving. "I'm really here," he confirmed, grinning with an excitement that matched my own. "And you're even more handsome in person than you are on video." The compliment made me blush, but it also eased some of my anxiety about whether our attraction would survive the translation to real life. The first few days of Alex's visit were a careful dance of getting to know each other in physical space while maintaining the emotional intimacy we had built online. We spent hours walking around Manila, with me serving as his tour guide to the city I knew intimately and he was experiencing for the first time. Seeing Manila through Alex's eyes reminded me of aspects of my home that I had stopped noticing. The incredible diversity of the population, the way traditional and modern elements coexisted throughout the city, the warmth and hospitality that Filipinos showed to visitors, his genuine appreciation for the culture and his curiosity about everything from street food to historical sites made me feel proud of my heritage in ways I hadn't expected. But the most significant moments were the quiet ones. Sitting together in my small apartment, sharing meals that I cooked using family recipes, playing Eternal Realms side by side on our laptops instead of connecting from opposite sides of the world. These domestic interludes felt like glimpses of what a shared life might look like, and they were even better than I had imagined. The romantic and physical aspects of our relationship developed naturally during his visit. Our first kiss happened on his third day in Manila, after we had spent the afternoon exploring Rizal Park and were sitting together watching the sunset. The kiss was tentative and sweet, confirmation that the emotional connection we had built online was supported by genuine physical attraction and chemistry. "That was worth flying halfway around the world for," Alex said afterward, and I could see in his eyes that he meant it. As his visit progressed, we became more comfortable with physical intimacy, but we also discovered that the foundation of our relationship remained communication and shared interests. We were just as happy sitting together working on our respective laptops as we were exploring the city or being physically affectionate. The relationship felt balanced and sustainable in ways that gave me confidence about its long-term potential. The most challenging part of Alex's visit was introducing him to my family. My sister had been supportive throughout the development of our online relationship, but my parents, who were visiting Manila during Alex's stay, were more skeptical about the situation. They were polite to Alex but clearly uncertain about their son's involvement with someone from such a different cultural background. especially someone whose career in gaming and streaming seemed unconventional and potentially unstable. The conversation with my parents about the nature of my relationship with Alex was one of the most difficult of my life. I had never explicitly discussed my sexuality with them, and doing so in the context of introducing a romantic partner added layers of complexity and potential conflict. "Mom, Dad," I said during a family dinner that included Alex, "I need you to understand that Alex isn't just a friend who's visiting. He's someone I care about romantically, someone I'm building a relationship with." The silence that followed was heavy with surprise and uncertainty. My father, who had always been more traditional in his views, looked uncomfortable, while my mother seemed to be processing information that challenged her assumptions about my life and future. Alex, sensing the tension, spoke up with a respect and sincerity that I deeply appreciated. "Mr. and Mrs. Santos, I know this situation is unusual and probably concerning for you. I want you to know that I care about Miguel very much, and I'm committed to supporting his goals and respecting his family and culture. I'm not trying to take him away from you or change who he is. I just want to be part of his life in whatever way feels right for all of us." His words were exactly right, acknowledging their concerns while asserting the validity of our relationship. Over the following days, my parents observed our interactions and gradually began to see that Alex's feelings for me were genuine and that our relationship was based on mutual respect and shared values. The breakthrough came when Alex helped my father fix a computer problem, demonstrating both technical skills and patience in explaining solutions. Afterward, my father pulled me aside and said, "Your friend is a good person, Miguel. I can see that he cares about you and that you're happy with him. That matters more to me than the specific details of your relationship." My mother's acceptance was more gradual but equally meaningful. She began asking Alex about his family, his career, and his intentions regarding me. By the end of his visit, she was treating him like a potential son-in-law, offering advice about Filipino customs and expressing hope that he would visit again soon. The hardest part of Alex's visit was saying goodbye. 2 weeks had passed quickly, and we were both dreading the return to long-distance communication after experiencing the joy and ease of being together in person. The night before his departure, we stayed up late talking about what we had learned during his visit and what it meant for our future. "I don't want to go back to just being online," Alex said as we lay together in my small bed, his arm around me in a way that felt both new and completely natural. "These 2 weeks have shown me what we could have together, and I want more of it." "What are you saying?" I asked, though I suspected I knew where the conversation was heading. "I'm saying I want us to figure out how to be together permanently. I don't know if that means me moving to the Philippines, you moving to San Francisco, or us finding some third option, but I know I want to build a real life with you." His declaration was everything I wanted to hear, but it also highlighted all the practical obstacles we would need to overcome. Immigration laws, career considerations, family obligations, financial resources, all of these factors would influence our ability to create a shared future. We spent Alex's last morning in Manila making tentative plans and commitments. He would research visa options for longer stays in the Philippines, while I would look into opportunities for continuing my education or finding work in the United States. We agreed to visit each other every few months while working toward a more permanent solution. The goodbye at the airport was emotional but hopeful. We had proven to ourselves that our online connection translated to real-life compatibility, and we were both committed to finding ways to be together more regularly. The months following Alex's visit were some of the most focused and determined of my life. I threw myself into researching immigration options, improving my English, and developing skills that might make me more attractive to U.S. employers or universities. Alex was equally committed, exploring visa sponsorship possibilities and building his streaming business to a level that could support both of us financially. Our online relationship resumed, but with a new depth and confidence. Having been together in person, we had a shared reference point for physical intimacy and domestic compatibility that enriched our digital interactions. We knew how the other person moved through space, what they looked like when they were tired or excited or concentrated, how it felt to wake up next to each other. But we were also more impatient with the limitations of long-distance communication. Video calls and gaming sessions were wonderful, but they were no longer enough. We had tasted what it was like to share the same physical space, and we were hungry for more of that experience. The breakthrough came 6 months after Alex's Manila visit, when he received an offer to participate in a major gaming tournament in Tokyo. The event would bring together top players and streamers from throughout Asia and North America, and Alex's growing reputation had earned him an invitation to compete and provide commentary. "Miguel," he said during one of our video calls, his excitement obvious even through the digital connection. "This tournament could be perfect timing for us. You could meet me in Tokyo, and we could spend time together while I'm working. It would be like a working vacation for me and a chance for you to experience Japan, which I know you've always wanted to do." The idea was appealing but also daunting. Tokyo was expensive, my Japanese was limited, and I would need to take time off from school during a critical period in my studies. But the opportunity to be with Alex again, and to experience a new culture together, was too tempting to pass up. With Alex's help covering expenses and my sister's support in managing logistics, I arranged to meet him in Tokyo for 10 days during the tournament. The trip would be my first time traveling outside the Philippines, and my first extended period away from family and familiar surroundings. Tokyo was overwhelming and exhilarating, a city that seemed to exist in the future compared to anywhere I had ever been. But having Alex as my guide and companion made the experience manageable and incredibly enjoyable. He had been to Japan several times for gaming events and had developed enough familiarity with the city to show me around while still being excited about exploring new areas together. The tournament itself was a revelation for me. I had watched Alex stream many times, but seeing him compete at the highest levels of professional gaming, surrounded by other elite players and thousands of spectators, gave me a new appreciation for his skills and accomplishments. He performed brilliantly, placing third in his category and earning recognition from gaming publications and sponsors. But more meaningful than his competitive success was the way he integrated me into his professional world. He introduced me to other players and industry professionals as his partner, not hiding our relationship or treating me as just a friend who happened to be traveling with him. His openness about our relationship in professional contexts was both brave and affirming, especially in an industry that wasn't always welcoming to LGBTQ+ individuals. The other players and streamers we met were curious about our story and supportive of our relationship. Several shared their own experiences with long-distance relationships or cross-cultural partnerships, and I began to understand that the gaming community, despite its reputation for toxicity, also included many people who were open-minded and accepting of diverse relationships and identities. One evening after the tournament events had ended, Alex and I were having dinner at a small restaurant in Shibuya when he brought up a conversation that had been building throughout our time in Tokyo. "Miguel, I've been thinking about our future and what we want to build together. This trip has confirmed for me that I want us to be together permanently, not just for visits and vacations." I felt my heart rate increase with anticipation and nervousness. "What are you thinking?" "I've been offered a position with a gaming company that has offices in several countries, including the Philippines. It would mean less streaming and more content development and community management, but it would also mean I could potentially work remotely or from different locations. If I took this job, I could spend significant time in Manila while still maintaining my career." The possibility he was describing sounded almost too good to be true. "Are you serious? You would move to the Philippines?" "Not permanently, but regularly. Maybe spending half the year there and half in San Francisco, or whatever schedule works for both of us. The important thing is that we could build a life together without one of us having to completely abandon their home or start over in a foreign country." His proposal was thoughtful and practical, addressing many of the concerns I had about our future while respecting both of our connections to our respective homes and cultures. We spent the rest of our time in Tokyo planning and dreaming about what this arrangement might look like in practice. When we returned to our respective countries after the Tokyo trip, we were both energized and committed to making Alex's job transition happen. He negotiated with the gaming company about remote work arrangements and international travel requirements, while I worked on completing my engineering degree and exploring graduate programs that might allow me to study internationally. The process took nearly a year, but eventually all the pieces fell into place. Alex accepted the position with the gaming company, I finished my undergraduate degree, and we both received the necessary visas and documentation for Alex to spend extended periods in the Philippines while maintaining his U.S. residence and work authorization. Our reunion in Manila, when Alex arrived for his first extended stay under the new arrangement, felt like the beginning of our real life together. We rented a small apartment that we could share during his time in the Philippines, set up workspaces that allowed both of us to pursue our careers, and began the process of building a routine and domestic life that honored both of our needs and goals. The arrangement wasn't perfect. We still dealt with visa limitations, time zone challenges when Alex needed to coordinate with colleagues in other countries, and the ongoing complexity of maintaining relationships and responsibilities in two different places. But it was sustainable and fulfilling in ways that our purely long-distance relationship had never been. More importantly, it allowed us to grow together as partners while maintaining our individual identities and pursuits. Alex's work with the gaming company introduced him to aspects of the Asian gaming market that enriched his understanding of his industry, while my graduate studies in software engineering benefited from his experience with tech companies and international business. We also became advocates within the gaming community for LGBTQ+ visibility and cross-cultural understanding. Alex began incorporating discussions about diversity and inclusion into his streaming content, while I started a blog about gaming culture from a Filipino perspective that gained international readership. Our relationship became an example for other gamers who were navigating long-distance relationships, cultural differences, or questions about sexuality and identity. We received messages from young people around the world who found hope and guidance in our story, and we tried to use our platform responsibly to support others who were facing similar challenges. 2 years after Alex's first visit to Manila, we made the decision to get married. The ceremony was small but meaningful, held in Manila with both of our families present and several friends from the international gaming community participating via video call. The celebration reflected both of our cultures, with traditional Filipino elements alongside aspects that honored Alex's Chinese-American heritage. The most moving part of the ceremony was when my father, who had initially been skeptical about my relationship with Alex, gave a speech about how love transcends boundaries when it's built on respect, understanding, and shared values. His acceptance and blessing felt like validation not just of our relationship but of the choices we had both made to follow our hearts across cultural and geographical divides. Alex's parents, who had flown in from San Francisco for the wedding, were equally supportive. His mother told me privately that she had never seen Alex as happy and confident as he had become since we started our relationship, and that my influence on his life had been entirely positive. As I write this now, 3 years after that first encounter in Eternal Realms, Alex and I are preparing for our next adventure. We've been accepted into an international program that will allow us to spend a year in South Korea, where Alex will work with gaming companies to develop cross-cultural content while I pursue advanced studies in game development and design. The program represents everything we've learned about building a relationship that honors both of our individual goals and our shared dreams. We're approaching it as partners who support each other's growth, while creating opportunities for new experiences and discoveries together. But beyond the professional opportunities, what excites me most is the prospect of continuing to explore the world alongside the person who taught me that love can begin in the most unexpected places and grow into something more beautiful and sustainable than I had ever imagined possible. Our love story began in a virtual world, but it has become the most real and meaningful aspect of our lives. We've learned that authentic connection can transcend any boundary, geographical, cultural, or technological, when it's approached with honesty, curiosity, and commitment to understanding and supporting each other. Every morning when I wake up next to Alex, whether we're in Manila, San Francisco, or preparing for our next destination, I'm reminded of how much our lives have been enriched by the courage to take that first step toward each other. What started as a casual gaming encounter became a friendship, then a romance, then a partnership that has exceeded every expectation I had about what love could be. Tonight, we're planning to log into Eternal Realms together, just like we did during those early days of our relationship. But now, instead of being separated by 13 time zones and an ocean, we'll be sitting side by side, sharing the same space while exploring the virtual worlds that brought us together. The game that introduced us continues to evolve and expand, just like our relationship. New challenges, new adventures, new opportunities for growth and discovery. But the foundation remains the same: Two people who found each other in an unexpected place and chose to build something beautiful together, one day at a time. The future feels full of possibility. There are more countries to explore, more professional goals to pursue, more ways to use our platform and our story to support others who are navigating their own journeys toward authenticity and connection. But whatever challenges and adventures lie ahead, I know we'll face them together, with the same teamwork and mutual support that helped us complete that first impossible raid all those years ago. The game continues, the love deepens, and the adventure is just beginning. Our move to Seoul for the international program was both exhilarating and overwhelming. After years of splitting time between Manila and San Francisco, we were finally going to live together in the same place for an extended period. But that place was entirely new to both of us. Neither of us spoke Korean beyond basic gaming terminology, and the cultural context was different from anything we had experienced together. The program housing was a small but modern apartment near Hongik University, in the heart of Seoul's gaming and tech district. Our first night there, we sat on the floor eating convenience store food and looking out at the neon-lit streets below, both of us feeling the mixture of excitement and homesickness that comes with major life transitions. "This is really happening," Alex said, reaching for my hand as we watched the constant flow of people and traffic outside our window. "We're actually living together in Korea, pursuing our dreams side by side." "Are you nervous?" I asked, because I certainly was. The program was competitive and demanding. Alex's work with the Korean gaming companies would require him to navigate complex business relationships in a culture neither of us fully understood, and my graduate coursework would be conducted primarily in English, but with Korean cultural context I was still learning. "Terrified," he admitted with a laugh, "but also more excited than I've been about anything in years. We're going to learn so much, Miguel, about game development, about Korean culture, about each other, about what we're capable of when we're truly working together toward the same goals." The first few weeks in Seoul were a steep learning curve. The program was intensive, with coursework, research projects, and industry partnerships that demanded full-time attention from both of us. Alex was working with 3 different Korean gaming companies, analyzing their international expansion strategies and helping develop content that would appeal to global audiences. I was enrolled in advanced courses in game design and artificial intelligence, while also participating in research projects that examined cross-cultural elements in gaming narratives. But we were also discovering Seoul together, and that exploration became one of the most bonding experiences of our relationship. We took Korean language classes together, learned to navigate the subway system, discovered restaurants and cafes that became our regular spots. Every weekend, we would explore a different neighborhood, trying new foods, visiting museums and cultural sites, slowly building familiarity with the city that was our temporary home. The Korean gaming industry was unlike anything either of us had experienced. The level of integration between gaming, streaming, and broader entertainment culture was extraordinary, with professional gamers achieving celebrity status and gaming companies wielding significant cultural influence. Alex found himself working on projects that required understanding not just market dynamics but social trends, cultural values, and the complex relationship between technology and traditional Korean society. "It's like gaming is a language here," he explained to me one evening after a particularly intense day of meetings. "Not just entertainment, but a way of communicating about everything from social status to political views to relationship dynamics. I'm learning more about Korean culture through gaming than I ever could through traditional cultural studies." My own coursework was equally revelatory. The program brought together students from around the world, and our collaborative projects required us to consider how cultural backgrounds influenced not just game preferences but fundamental approaches to problem-solving, storytelling, and user experience design. Working with classmates from Japan, Sweden, Brazil, and a dozen other countries was like conducting a real-time experiment in cross-cultural communication and creativity. One of my most challenging projects involved developing a game concept that would be accessible and engaging to players from at least 5 different cultural backgrounds while maintaining authentic representation of each culture's values and perspectives. The research and development process required extensive consultation with cultural experts, sensitivity readers, and focus groups from each target demographic. The project pushed me to think more deeply about the responsibilities that come with creating interactive entertainment that crosses cultural boundaries. How do you honor different traditions and worldviews while creating something cohesive and playable? How do you avoid stereotypes while still incorporating recognizable cultural elements? How do you balance commercial appeal with cultural authenticity? These questions became central to both my academic work and my broader understanding of the gaming industry's role in global cultural exchange. I began to see connections between the challenges I was facing in game development and the experiences Alex and I had navigated in building our cross-cultural relationship. 3 months into our Seoul residency, we were invited to present at a major international gaming conference being held in the city. The organizers had learned about our story and wanted us to speak about gaming as a platform for cross-cultural connection and LGBTQ+ visibility. The opportunity was both thrilling and intimidating, as it would be our first time presenting together to a large professional audience. We spent weeks preparing our presentation, which combined personal narrative with analysis of gaming culture's evolving attitudes toward diversity and inclusion. Alex handled the industry perspective, discussing how gaming companies were beginning to recognize the commercial and creative benefits of diverse representation. I focused on the community aspects, examining how online gaming spaces could serve as safe havens for marginalized individuals, while also presenting challenges around harassment and discrimination. The presentation was well received, but what surprised us was the response from audience members who approached us afterward. Many shared their own stories of finding love, friendship, or community through gaming, and several young Korean gamers thanked us for being visible as a same-sex couple in an industry and culture where LGBTQ+ representation was still limited. One conversation particularly moved me. A young Korean man, probably around 20, approached us nervously after most of the audience had dispersed. In careful English, he told us that he had been struggling with his sexuality and his family's expectations, but that seeing our presentation had given him hope that he could be authentic about who he was while still pursuing his dreams in the gaming industry. "Your story shows that love can be found anywhere," he said, his voice shaking slightly with emotion, "and that it's possible to build a life that honors who you are while still achieving success. Thank you for being brave enough to share that with us." His words reminded us that our visibility as a couple carried responsibilities beyond our personal happiness. We were representing possibilities for other LGBTQ+ individuals in gaming, particularly those from cultures where acceptance was still limited. This realization led to our involvement with several Korean LGBTQ+ organizations and international groups focused on gaming industry diversity. We began volunteering as mentors, sharing our experiences with young people who were navigating questions of identity and career in the gaming world. The work was emotionally demanding but incredibly rewarding. We met brilliant, passionate individuals who were creating amazing games, building successful streaming careers, and advocating for change within their communities, often while dealing with family rejection, social discrimination, or professional obstacles that their heterosexual peers never faced. One of the most impactful projects we worked on was a mentorship program that paired LGBTQ+ gaming professionals with young people who were interested in industry careers. The program used online platforms to connect mentors and ments across geographical boundaries, creating a global network of support and guidance. Alex and I co-mentored several participants, helping them navigate everything from technical skill development to coming out in professional contexts to building resilience in the face of online harassment. The relationships we formed through this work enriched our understanding of the gaming community's diversity and challenges. Meanwhile, our own relationship continued to evolve and deepen. Living together full-time in Seoul, we discovered new aspects of each other's personalities and preferences. Alex was more introverted than I had realized, needing significant alone time to recharge from the demands of his work and social commitments. I was more social and externally focused, energized by new experiences and interactions with our expanding social circle in Seoul. Learning to balance these different needs while sharing a small apartment and intensive work schedules required ongoing communication and compromise. We established routines that honored both of our work styles and social needs, creating space for both shared experiences and individual pursuits. One of our most successful innovations was establishing gaming dates, regular times when we would play together, just the two of us, revisiting the activity that had brought us together in the first place. These sessions became sacred time for us, opportunities to reconnect with each other, and with the playful, exploratory spirit that defined our early relationship. "It's funny," Alex said during one of these sessions, as we worked through a particularly challenging dungeon in Eternal Realms. "We're both working in the gaming industry now, thinking about games professionally all day long. But when we play together like this, it still feels like pure fun. Like we're just two people who love games and love each other." He was right. Despite all the professional and academic analysis of gaming culture that filled our days, playing together remained a source of joy and connection that existed outside of career considerations or cultural examination. It was simply us, enjoying something we loved while spending time with the person we loved most. The final months of our Seoul residency were intense with project deadlines, thesis preparation, and job applications for our post-program careers. Alex had been offered positions with gaming companies in Seoul, San Francisco, and Manila, while I was considering graduate programs in game development and AI that would take me to different countries and research contexts. The decision-making process was complex because it involved not just individual career considerations but the future of our relationship. We had proven that we could maintain a strong partnership while living in different places, but we both preferred being together, and we wanted to make choices that would support rather than strain our relationship. "I don't want my career to be the thing that determines where we live," Alex said during one of our many conversations about the future. "But I also don't want to make decisions that limit my professional growth or yours. We need to find something that works for both of us." The solution came from an unexpected source. A Korean gaming company that Alex had been working with offered him a position that would involve traveling throughout Southeast Asia, establishing partnerships and developing region-specific content. The role would be based in Seoul but would require extended time in the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and other countries where the company was expanding. Simultaneously, I was offered a research position with an international consortium studying AI applications in gaming, with the flexibility to work remotely while conducting research in different countries. The position would provide opportunities to continue my education while gaining practical experience in the gaming industry. Both opportunities were exactly what we needed: challenging, growth-oriented work that would allow us to remain together while contributing to the global gaming industry from an Asia-Pacific perspective. We accepted the positions enthusiastically, excited about the prospect of continuing our adventure together while building meaningful careers. Our final presentation in Seoul was a reflection on everything we had learned during our year in Korea. We spoke about the gaming industry's evolution toward greater cultural sensitivity and global awareness, about the importance of cross-cultural collaboration in creating games that truly serve diverse audiences, and about the personal growth that comes from immersing yourself in unfamiliar cultures and professional contexts. But we also spoke about love, about the way personal relationships can serve as bridges between different cultures and communities, about the importance of authenticity and vulnerability in building connections that transcend geographical and cultural boundaries. The presentation was attended by program participants, industry professionals, and several of the young people we had mentored during our time in Seoul. Seeing their faces in the audience, remembering the conversations and connections we had built over the year, made the entire experience feel like a completion of something significant. After the presentation, we hosted a farewell party at our apartment, bringing together the diverse community of friends and colleagues we had met in Seoul. The evening was filled with multiple languages, different cultural traditions, and the kind of easy international mixing that had become natural to us over the years. As I watched Alex moving through the crowd, switching between English, Korean, and the few Tagalog phrases he had learned, I was struck by how much we had both grown since that first day we met in Eternal Realms. We had become truly international people, comfortable in multiple cultures while maintaining our individual identities and values. The transition from Seoul to our new roles was smoother than we had expected. Alex's work with the Korean gaming company required him to spend several weeks in each target country, establishing relationships and understanding local gaming markets. I was able to accompany him on many of these trips, conducting research and interviews that supported both our professional goals. Our first major assignment took us to Singapore, where we spent 2 months working with local gaming companies and educational institutions. The city-state's unique position as a hub for Southeast Asian gaming industry provided incredible opportunities for both of us to understand regional trends and develop professional networks. Singapore also offered us new perspectives on multicultural relationships and LGBTQ+ rights in Asia. The city's diverse population and progressive policies created a more open environment than we had experienced in some other countries, and we were able to be more public about our relationship without concern for legal or social consequences. We were invited to speak at several events about cross-cultural gaming development and LGBTQ+ representation in the gaming industry. These speaking engagements were becoming an important part of our professional portfolio, as we realized that our unique combination of personal experience and professional expertise was valuable to industry organizations and advocacy groups. One of the most meaningful events was a workshop we conducted for young game developers from throughout Southeast Asia. The participants were incredibly talented and passionate, but many had never had opportunities to connect with international gaming professionals or to see examples of successful cross-cultural careers. You're showing us that it's possible to build global careers while staying connected to our home cultures, one participant told us. That's something we never thought we could achieve. Their enthusiasm and ambition reminded us of our own early dreams and the importance of visibility and mentorship in helping young people envision possibilities for their futures. From Singapore, we traveled to Thailand, Vietnam, and eventually back to the Philippines, where we spent several months working with Manila-based gaming companies and educational institutions. Being back in my home country with Alex, but in a professional capacity rather than just as visitors, felt like another milestone in our relationship. We were invited to speak at several universities in Manila, including my alma mater, about international careers in gaming and technology. The audiences were enthusiastic and curious, asking detailed questions about how to prepare for global careers and how to navigate cultural differences in international business contexts. But they were also interested in our personal story, particularly how we had maintained our relationship across cultural and geographical boundaries. For many of the students, we represented possibilities they had never considered. That love could transcend cultural differences, that international careers were achievable, that authenticity and professional success could coexist. During our time in Manila, we also spent significant time with my family, who had welcomed Alex completely into their lives. My parents now treated him as their son-in-law in every meaningful way, asking his advice about technology issues, including him in family decisions, and expressing pride in his professional accomplishments. The most touching moment came when my father asked Alex to help him set up a computer for his small business. As they worked together, I overheard my father telling Alex stories about my childhood, sharing memories and perspectives that he had never shared with any of my previous friends or romantic interests. "He's really become part of our family," my sister told me later. "Not just because you love him, but because he's genuinely interested in our lives and our culture. He's not trying to change you or take you away from us. He's just trying to understand and support everything that makes you who you are." Her observation captured something essential about what made our relationship work across cultural boundaries. We had both approached each other's cultures with curiosity and respect rather than judgment or attempts to change each other. We had learned to appreciate differences while building on shared values and common goals. Alex's work in the Philippines was particularly successful, as he was able to connect Korean gaming companies with Filipino developers and content creators in ways that benefited both markets. His understanding of both cultures, developed through our relationship and his extended time in both countries, made him uniquely qualified to facilitate these partnerships. Meanwhile, my research was expanding to include comparative studies of gaming culture across different Southeast Asian countries. The work was challenging and rewarding, allowing me to contribute to academic understanding of regional gaming trends while also gaining practical experience that would be valuable in future industry roles. 2 years into our new career phase, we were both thriving professionally and personally. Alex had become a recognized expert in cross-cultural gaming development, while I had published several papers on AI applications in gaming and had been accepted into a PhD program that would allow me to continue my research while maintaining my industry connections. More importantly, our relationship had proven resilient and adaptable across multiple countries, cultures, and professional contexts. We had learned to support each other's individual growth while building a partnership that enhanced both of our lives and careers. Our success led to new opportunities and responsibilities. We were invited to join the board of an international organization focused on diversity and inclusion in the gaming industry, where we could influence policy and advocate for changes that would benefit LGBTQ+ individuals and other marginalized communities. We also began developing our own projects, including a game concept that would incorporate elements from multiple Southeast Asian cultures while addressing themes of identity, belonging, and cross-cultural connection. The game would be our first major collaborative creative project, combining Alex's industry experience with my academic research and both of our cultural perspectives. The development process was intense and sometimes challenging, as we had to navigate not just technical and creative decisions but also the complex dynamics of working together professionally when we were also romantic partners. We had to learn new ways of communicating about disagreements, managing different work styles, and maintaining healthy boundaries between our professional and personal relationships. But the project also brought out the best in both of us. Alex's understanding of market dynamics and user experience design complemented my focus on narrative structure and cultural authenticity. Together, we were creating something that neither of us could have achieved individually. As I write this now, 5 years after that first encounter in Eternal Realms, Alex and I are preparing for the launch of our game and planning our next adventure together. We've been invited to establish a research and development studio in Seoul, where we would work with international teams to create games that serve global audiences while honoring diverse cultural perspectives. The opportunity represents everything we've learned about combining personal relationships with professional goals, about using our unique backgrounds and experiences to contribute to positive change in the gaming industry, about building a life that honors both individual dreams and shared values. But beyond the professional opportunities, what excites me most is the knowledge that we'll continue growing and discovering together, that our relationship will continue evolving as we face new challenges and explore new possibilities. We've proven to ourselves and others that love really can transcend any boundary when it's built on mutual respect, genuine curiosity, and commitment to supporting each other's authentic selves. Tonight, we're planning to log into Eternal Realms together, just like we have thousands of times over the past 5 years. But this time, we'll be celebrating the completion of our own game and the beginning of our next chapter as creative partners and business collaborators. The virtual world that brought us together continues to evolve, just like our relationship and our understanding of what's possible when two people commit to building something beautiful together. New quests, new challenges, new opportunities for growth and discovery. But the foundation remains the same. Two people who found each other in an unexpected place and chose to create a life that honors both their individual dreams and their shared vision of what love can accomplish. Our love story began in pixels and code, but it has become the most tangible and meaningful aspect of our lives. We've learned that authentic connection can begin anywhere and grow into something more substantial and lasting than we ever imagined possible. The future is full of possibilities, and we're excited to explore them together, one level at a time. The game continues, the love deepens, and the greatest adventure is the one we're creating together every single day.